The man chained up in front of me is named Gayan. He's a villain who transmigrated between worlds and near killed the male lead. To complete his mission, he got close to the guy, gained his trust and affection, then turned around and stabbed him. He thought after stabbing the male lead he could go home, but then his lousy system suddenly showed up. It kicked him right back and told him he needed to survive in this world for 10 years to complete the mission. Gayan was furious, but he had no time to deal with that system he wanted to crush. Having totally ticked off the male lead, he planned to find some corner to hide in. But right then, a drone stopped above him and instantly locked onto him. Alert alert, data match 100%. Identity confirmed as Star's most wanted criminal Jang to me. Jayan's face changed. Damn it, this guy has a special tracking system. Inside the starship's interrogation room, Jane's hands were locked tight with chains. He looked down at the floor, feeling pretty low. The situation wasn't looking good for him. He asked the system if his dad knew he was locked up here. But the system told him his dad can't save him now. In the 2 years he was gone, the male lead Eros became the military's supreme commander, way higher in rank than his father. And honestly, you played a big part in that happen. Gayan felt like giving up on life. Then the system reminded him again. You haven't had a drop of water in days. Your vital signs have dropped to 72%. In other words, if you don't drink water soon, you're gonna die. Gayan felt it too. Barely holding on, his consciousness started getting fuzzy. Just as he was about to pass out completely, someone walked up to him. The person lifted his chin and poured water into his mouth. Gayan slowly lifted his head to see who it was. It was Eros. For a moment, the air in the interrogation room seemed to freeze. Those dark military boots with their cold gleam. They made Gayan's heart tighten. And his incredibly oppressive gaze made Gayan instinctively want to apologize for what he did. But before he could finish, Eros yanked him up and grabbed his jaw hard. His tone was ice cold. Apologizing now. Didn't you say back then you'd do anything for the woman you loved? Turns out after Gayan stabbed the male lead, to make Eros hate him, he lied and said he did it because he loved his fiancée. Apologizing won't work. Gayan asked the system if there was any way to fix this. But then Eros pulled out a red vial and slowly walked toward him. Back then you left me badly wounded on the insect planet. I still remember that tearing pain all over my body. NXLP5 serum. You should know what it is. Once it's all injected into your body, your bones and nerves will be instantly destroyed. When Eros said this, those emotionless eyes sent chills down Jayan's spine. Seeing Eros about to inject the serum, Gayan quickly spoke up. Wait a second, Eros. Just calm down. It's not what you think. But Eros didn't seem to believe him. He stared at Jayan's pale face, his eyes filled with endless coldness. Really? That day when you sent me a distress signal? Do you know how worried I was? Even though I knew saving you meant disobeying military orders, I still chose to save you. Do you know how many insects attacked and bit me to get to you? But what did I get? All I got was your cold blade. But looking at Eros's bloodthirsty eyes, Gayan forced himself to stay calm. To survive, he had to take a gamble. When Eros asked if he regretted betraying him for a woman, Gayan didn't hesitate to say no. Eros's eyes went cold. Yeah, of course. She's the woman you love. After you die, I'll make sure she joins you. With that, he drove the needle into Gayan's neck. At the critical moment, Gayan looked at him with deep emotion. I don't regret it because if I hadn't done that, you'd never see me. Even now, about to die, I want you to know, the person I love isn't Bena. It's you. The system was shocked hearing this. Host, what are you doing? This is a straight male lead story, not a BL. But the result was good. Sure enough, Eros stopped when he heard those words. The system alert was lifted too. Even the system had to say 666. Jayan's tense heart finally relaxed for a moment. His gamble paid off. But after looking at the male lead's expression, the system felt things weren't that simple. It warned Gayan something seemed off. But Gayan couldn't worry about that now. His body had reached its limits. Once he confirmed he wasn't in immediate danger, he finally couldn't hold on and passed out. Right then the chains on his hands unlocked. Eros looked at Gayan in his arms, his pale eyes showing no emotion. But his next words were incredibly chilling. You better not be lying to me, or the consequences will be more than you can handle. With that, the communicator on his wrist lit up with a blue light. He called for a doctor. After who knows how long, Gayan slowly woke up. He struggled to open his eyes, and asked the system hoarsely how long he'd been out. But the system, munching on a mango, replied casually, 5 days. You almost became the first transmigrator to die of dehydration. Just then Eros walked in. You slept that long? You didn't forget what you said to me before, did you? Even though Eros had no expression when he said this, Gayan still felt chills down his spine. He could only bite the bullet and keep acting. He grabbed Eros's hand and pressed his face against it, pretending to be pitiful. How could I forget? I never really liked Bena. I even thought about killing her, but I knew even if I did, there'd be endless fiancés for you. We're both sons of generals. I could never be with you. So I figured go all the way. If I can't have you, I'll destroy you. The person I love is only you. As he spoke, tears started flowing. This sincere performance made it hard for Eros to tell if his words were true or false. Faced with Gayan's passionate confession, Eros didn't know whether to believe him, so he turned and left. As soon as he left, Gayan breathed a huge sigh of relief. The system teased him about his great performance. All that stuff about if I can't have you, I'll destroy you. It asked if he learned those lines from that villain host next door. After all, in a straight male lead story, the male lead's preference is definitely a harem of thousands. Aren't you worried this straight guy will hear this and want to kill you even more because he's grossed out? Gayan just smiled. You don't get it. Precisely because I'm straight, I understand how he thinks. Like if one day my really good buddy stabbed me over stealing my girl, I'd definitely never forgive him. But if he did it because he loved me, I'd be shocked at first. But it'd be way easier to take than betrayal. At least in some sense. He didn't really betray our friendship. The feelings just got too deep and went the wrong way. I can't exactly blame myself for being too charming, right? And in that situation, he didn't have time to think it through. It just came to him in a flash. Tell me about it after, it's actually good. The male lead will be so grossed out he'll send him to some remote corner to live out his days. Then he can complete the survive 10 more years mission. Just then, there was knocking at the door. Turns out it was this body's real father. Gayan thought his father was here to tell him he was getting kicked out. He got a little excited. But to keep up the act, he immediately pretended to be weak and lay in bed. Seeing his weak son, Delton had quite the headache. Hito and Eros decided to let this whole thing go and not pursue it anymore. Plus, normally the children of different generals aren't allowed to marry each other. But he made an exception for you. Gayan was stunned. What exception? Don't you like Eros? He just told me he agreed to marry me. Whoa, this isn't how I thought this would go. Gayan felt completely blindsided. The little system was sweating bullets for him to be really good. He couldn't help asking, doesn't the military forbid marriages between families? Plus Eros has a fiancé. Why would he suddenly pick me? Delton told him Eros already cancelled that engagement. He doesn't need to worry about that. Gayan held his head. That's not what he's worried about. Unable to accept this outcome, he started looking for reasons to refuse this marriage. Delton immediately stood up when he heard this, looking at him sharply. Gayan, tell me the truth. Did you lie to Eros? Gayan stammered nervously. Delton saw his expression and understood everything. The next second, there was a loud bang. A dark hole appeared in the bed next to Gayan. A black pistol was pressed against his forehead. Gayan broke out in cold sweat. Little did they know, Eros outside the door saw everything. What danger will Gayan face next? As soon as his father left, Gayan let out a huge breath. Just thinking about getting married made him want to give up on life. Suddenly he sat up straight. Wait, isn't Eros a straight male lead? Did he turn gay? Or does he want revenge on me? Thinking of that possibility, Gayan decided to run. Marriage is no joke. It means doing this and that. As a straight guy, he can't accept it. The next day, while Gayan was getting examined, Eros walked in. His eyes flickered. He bit the bullet and asked, my father said you agreed to marry me. Eros said yes, confirming it himself. Gayan's heart jumped. He paused for a while before continuing. If you're agreeing to this marriage out of pity for me, you really don't have to. I don't want to force you to do something you don't want. Eros stared at him for a moment, then lifted his chin. Really? Don't worry, it's my choice. Let's go out and get some air. He pulled Gayan out. Soon they reached their destination. Gayan was shocked by what he saw. This is the insect planet Sky. The next instant his throat was grabbed and his body slowly lifted. Eros looked at him coldly. I heard you love me, but don't want to marry me. If your dad hadn't forced you, you would have run already, right? Gayan, you know I hate being lied to. Don't you? Gayan had a gut feeling that if he answered wrong, he'd die right here. Eros stared at those hands clutching his arm. He gave Gayan one chance. You have 1 minute. As long as you prove the old you really love me, I'll let you go. With that, the countdown began. Just as time was running out, a memory flashed through Gayan's mind. He called out a string of code. Turns out after Styon was afraid he'd actually die, so he used an encrypted system to send his location to his subordinate, to get them to save him. That code was proof he didn't betray him. Even though he got the last 2 digits wrong, Eros still let him go. Gayan collapsed on the ground. Why didn't you tell me sooner? You wouldn't have had to be on the run so long. Gayan looked up at him. Back then you liked someone else. If I confessed, you would have just been disgusted. No, the one I've always loved has only been you. This sudden change left Gayan completely shaken. The straight male lead turned gay. Gayan felt like he was losing it. Eros saw his expression and asked what's wrong. Even though he was completely freaking out inside, Gayan still had to keep up the act. So he pretended to be excited and said, Nothing. I'm just so emotional. It feels like a dream. I never thought you'd love me. I thought you hated me and wanted revenge. That's why you said you'd marry me. I was scared this was just a beautiful dream and I'd wake up to reality. If I could, I'd want to get married right now. Even the little system watching had to admit impressive. Fine, let's do it today. Hearing this, Gayan wanted to cry. He really wanted to slap himself at the registry office. He stood in front of the camera. Soon their information was entered successfully. They officially became legal spouses. The system watching him looking so miserable couldn't help but laugh so hard it hurt. Congrats, happy wedding. Gayan got angry. Shut up! Just then, Eros turned to look at him. Gayan, even though we're married, that doesn't mean I'll forgive any betrayal from you. What I hate most is people lying to me. You get that, right? The deeper meaning behind those words made Gayan shake slightly. He couldn't help worry. This time he barely escaped using the code, but if another trust crisis happens later, Eros will still kill him. Can you really survive safely in this world for 10 years? The system reminded. If you want to live in peace, you need to actually fall for the male lead. Human emotions can't be faked. Why don't you make a sacrifice? Learn from that transmigrate a host next door. Make the male lead so addicted to you he can't let you go. Gayan looked at Eros handling the paperwork. After thinking for a moment, he smiled slightly. It's all about completing the mission anyway. Being with him is fine too, as long as I'm the one in charge. After thinking it through, he grabbed Eros' hand with a mischievous look. Since we're legally married now, want to do it together. But Eros shook off his hand. Let's wait till after the wedding. Then he walked away. On the wedding, Gayan sat in the hover car watching the lively scene outside. The little system was holding a basket of wedding candy. Your marriage to Eros has caused quite a stir online and other families are protesting. The 3 great families used to be in a stand. After Eros took power, it's just you 2 competing in the shadows. Now that you and Eros are married, the Kote family naturally thinks power will shift toward the Bonner family. This marriage is all harm and no benefit for Eros. At the center of the Great Hall, Eros had been waiting for a while. Under the drone's live broadcast, Gayan forced a smile. He took a full 3 minutes to walk the super long red carpet. Arriving in front of Eros stood on the steps and extended his hand. The moment their hands clasped, the scene seemed to freeze. Gayan clearly saw that Eros, who never smiled, was actually smiling. Then Eros put his arm around his shoulder and whispered, tonight, your wish will come true. The wedding didn't drag on. After the ceremony, the true age grew for everyone. Soon it was dinner time. Eros looked at the distracted and asked what was wrong. Jayan hesitated for a moment, then spoke tentatively. Eros, you've been at military headquarters this whole year. I want to discuss something with you. We're together because we like each other. So, let's not mix power into what we have. Including the position thing. Don't use your general status to pressure me. Let's just use our fists to decide who's on top. As he spoke, Jayan stood up. He was super confident about it. After all, to be a proper villain back then. He excelled in every subject at military school, and even outperformed. Plus, Eros spent this year at headquarters and didn't train much. There's no way he could beat someone who's been tempered in multiple worlds. Looking at the excited Jayan, Eros calmly said fine. Hearing this, Jayan smiled smugly. To prevent combating, Jayan eagerly invited Eros upstairs. Eros watched Jayan taking off his jacket. His eyes darkened. After getting ready, Jayan was raring to go. Let's be clear, nobody stops unless someone gives up. With that, he struck first, throwing a punch. So, the moment Eros registered Jayan's speed, he dodged. But Jayan had predicted his move. In the next second, and kicked hard at his side. Facing the swift and fierce, Eros narrowed his eyes and struck decisively. Instantly the tables turned. Before Jayan could react, he was pinned to the table. Jayan couldn't help but curse. What the hell? Is Eros cheating? Why is he so fast? Looking at Jayan now, Eros said in a husky voice. Shaw, give up. Give up, not a chance. Jayan pretended to be weak, acting like his arm hurt. Eros' hand paused. He was about to let go to get night. The trick worked. Jayan instantly broke free, and threw a punch right back. Eros was caught off guard. Jayan seized the chance, twisted his shirt into a rope, and tied his hands. He said provocatively, today either you take me down or I take you down. But give up. Not happening. Eros looked into his eyes and his gaze darkened. He smirked. Fine. Not long after, up and downstairs. Heard crashing sounds from upstairs up and whispered among themselves. So the general's wedding night is this intense. Jayan was pinned down again. Eros asked if he wanted to keep fighting. Jayan's mindset crushed. He demanded of the little sister. Eros' combat skills were way weaker than mine before. How did he improve so much in just a year? Did he cheat or take some magic pill? The little system was silent for 2 seconds. The big male lead storyline has the highest protagonist halo of all worlds, but it only gives high natural talent. There's no interference with later growth. How far he develops depends entirely on him. There's no cheating. Maybe you could never beat him from the start. At military school he was letting you win. Hearing this Jayan's expression, was that really true? After thinking for a moment, he gave up. He resigned himself. Eros looked at his unwilling expression. You won't even pretend. Then, as if punishing him, he forced his chin up and bit hard into his neck. Jayan was stunned by this sudden attack and immediately started. After who knows, Eros finally let go, leaving iodine and bandages before turning to leave. The little system couldn't help. He angered Eros on their wedding night. How would he survive the next 10 years? But Jayan didn't know what he meant to Eros. Years ago, Eros had been watching him constantly. Watching Jayan casually change girlfriend, while always treating him like a brother. Even though he could feel the uncontrollable anger, rage, and despair in his chest, he remained calm. Dana was like his body and soul were separated. He didn't dare show his emotions, because he didn't want to hurt Jayan. So when Jayan stabbed him, he was happy. He wouldn't have to watch him marry and have kids with someone else. That would be too painful. Better to die by his. So when the insects devoured him, he suddenly felt this might be the best outcome. He never imagined that after surviving he'd hear Jayan say he liked him. Even though he knew Jayan was lying. Deep down he couldn't resist the temptation. After all, this was the only way he could have Jayan. Looking at the sleeping Jayan, Eros gently kissed his neck. His eyes showed a flicker of emotion. The next day, after a night of battle, Jayan rubbed the bite mark on his shoulder and couldn't help cursing. Does he really not have vampire genes? If not, he must have been a dog in his past life. He limped to the dining room. Seeing the 2 thick cushions on the chair, Jayan got instantly pissed. Why does everyone assume he's the bot? While he was fuming about this, Eros walked over. Jayan suddenly stood. That last night was because he was still recovering and couldn't show his true strength. Eros immediately understood what he meant. You mean fight every time? Wait, you didn't know. That's what I meant all along. After a long, Eros agreed to his request and got up to leave. Once Eros left, Jayan immediately called the little secret. I remember I bought an enhancer in World 07. Never used it, you remember, right? The situation's urgent, gotta use it now. He figured if he reached his peak, he could definitely beat Eros. At military headquarters, Emo pulled Jayan into a corner. Jayan, I know you don't like Eros at all. Otherwise, you wouldn't have had all those girlfriends back then, right? Having his thoughts exposed, Jayan tensed up. And the little system immediately warned him. There's a listening device on you. Watch what you say. Jayan immediately calmed down. With him fired back, like Eros. I'll always stand by his side through thick. As for all that stuff you mentioned, didn't you ever wonder why I always flaunted my girlfriends in front of him? I was making him jealous on purpose. Hearing his provocation fail, Emo left angrily. That performance should convince Eros, right? In the start, Eros listened to the entire conversation. He gently the face of Jayan in the photo, smiling slightly. Jayan, should I believe you? That night, as soon as Jayan, Eros eagerly invited him upstairs to spa. Soon the sound of fighting came from upstairs. Jayan was pinned down. He couldn't understand why even with the enhancer, he still couldn't beat Eros. The system jumped out then, casually putting on pixelated glasses, and consoled him. Maybe you're just meant to be the bomb. Behind him, Eros asked if he gave up. If you can't fight it, enjoy it. Jayan turned and sat on his lap. Eros smirked. I give up. After saying that, he kissed him. Warm sensations passed between them. After a stunned moment, he reached out and responded. Faced with Eros' godlike ability, Gayan had to admit. But after some time, he noticed his back was always aging. He couldn't help asking the system. The system teased him. I've got pixelated glasses on. Whatever you two did, I didn't see a thing. But think about it. This is a big male lead plot. Besides godlike talent, the big male lead has to be good at that, right? Otherwise, how could he handle a huge harem? Seeing his gloating expression, Gayan got mad. Great, now the harem's gone, and I'm handling it all alone. Thinking about keeping this pace for 10 years, Gayan sighed. Would he run out of steam? Time slowly passed. After a major victory in battle, Gayan was promoted to colonel. Other factions naturally wanted to block, but with Eros protecting him, they couldn't do anything. Gayan didn't care about this. He'd rather have a lower rank so he wouldn't be so exhausted. The endless paperwork wore Gayan out. He still had to act happy. When he finally finished work and one day, his eyes lit up. Imperial feather crab. Already starving, he couldn't stop drooling. Imperial feather crab was so rare. It was exclusive, and only generals got it, no one else. He was just a colonel, who could only watch delicacies slip away. After delivering files to Yin was about to leave, when he casually spotted the Imperial feather crab on the table. Instantly, Gayan couldn't move his feet. Eros saw his longing look and smiled. Wait, I can't eat this, you have it. Hearing this, Gayan was thrilled and grabbed the leg and started eating. While eating, Gayan asked Eros, what about kids? You need an heir, right? Eros' expression froze momentarily. If we have a child, will you never leave me? 10 months passed in a fire. News came from the cultivation They had room. A pair of adorable twins. Through the glass, Gayan looked at the two little ones. His feelings were mixed. Both first tongue, compared to Gayan's awkwardness. Eros seemed much more silent and calm. He just hoped Gayan's attention wouldn't fall on anyone else, not even their kids. Their home was best with just the two of them. After thinking, Eros spoke. According to family tradition, the young general's children must be raised across families. I'll send them to our respective families. Looking at the two children in swaddling, Gayan thought, maybe this is for the best. After all, he could only stay here. Not bonding with them meant no pain when he left. The little system saw his expression and asked, what about Eros? For a moment, Gayan's expression was unspeakable. Emotions churned inside. 10 years passed in a flash. Gayan's mission was almost complete. Facing the devoted Eros, how would he leave? In those 10 years, General Delton had retired. Xian took over his father's work entirely. Finishing his duties, the system voice echoed in his mind. He paused and said with mock annoyance, you know to come back. 4 years ago, the system figured his mission was nearly done and went offline. Gayan sighed. It's been 4 years. You're back now because my time's almost up, right? The system. Only 10 days left. Hearing this, Gayan was silent for a long time. He walked to the floor. Just now his dad called him, ordering him to attend Chris and Norman's birthday this time. Thinking about it now, that probably the mission's almost done. Shouldn't you be happy? Plus, after 10 years, your body will die automatically. How do you plan to die?
Gayan scratched his head.
Yeah, why wasn't he happy about this? Just then, something occurred to him. He clenched his. The insects have been more active lately. Maybe a general dying in battle would be easier for everyone to accept. Would Eros accept that? The little system asked. He'll have to accept it even if he doesn't. I have to leave. Just then, his communicator rang. It was Eros calling. Gayan hesitated for a moment, thinking he'd have to face it eventually. So he answered. Eros' hologram appeared in front of him, asking when he'd be back. Gayan felt a pang of guilt. He made an excuse about their activity, said he wasn't coming back. Eros didn't doubt his story. Just said, I'll wait for you. To avoid his guilt showing, Gayan quickly hung up. Even though it was a suicide mission, he couldn't let Eros catch on. He couldn't act too obvious. So Gayan slowly followed the free talk. Just then, the starship received a distress signal. Gayan immediately became the screen projected Amo's image. Amo was clearly injured. He told Jia they'd found mutated Zerg here. The numbers were huge. Several nearby planets had already fallen, and he was surrounded by Zerg. Activate the shield, or the Zerg might attack the planets. Seeing his chance, Gayan immediately asked for his coordinates. Amo didn't expect that at a time like this would come to rescue him. Eyes reddening, he refused. You don't need to risk yourself. Before he could finish, Yang lost his patience. Annoyed, he snapped. But he was thinking, I'm in a rush to die here. Stop wasting my time. Meanwhile, the entire planet was consumed by flame. Eros couldn't hold Gayan back. He chose to disappear with him into the void. The system told Jie, countless planets fell one after another. The Zerg weren't just much stronger. They were smarter too. Looks like the main storyline. Eros would level up after this battle too. But at least half the people would die. After spending so long in this, Gayan couldn't just watch it happen. Learning he only had 1 day and 12 hours, he decided
to hold off the Zerg as long as possible.
Eros more time. But with so many Zerg, Gayan was quickly surrounded. After transferring all command to him, he resolutely cut communication. Hearing reports that the 7th and 9th fleets had self-destructed, Gayan's body stiffened. But he couldn't hold on much longer either, coughing violently, feeling his body rapidly failing. Gayan slumped down, leaning against the cold cabin trying to endure the pain. You think, if the male lead knew your situation, would he come find you? The little sister. Gayan thought of last time. It was the same. He tried Eros in to rescue him, then stopped him. Maybe he'd come this time too, but he wouldn't send the distress signal. Besides, he was dying soon. Even if Arosa rushed over, just as Gayan was drifting off, the warship trembled. He looked up slightly, stunned. Eros was standing before him, looking at him. The next second, pulled him into a tight embrace. Just then, a mutated Zerg rushed towards him. Jia Yang shielded Eros. Eros was shocked. Seeing Jia Yang lose consciousness, Eros' eyes turned blood red. The next second, he slowly walked out of the attack, his eyes darker than ever before. Minutes later, seeing Eros return, Jia Yang asked the system. The system was still shaking. Yeah, terrifying. I think he totally lost her. If he wasn't rushing back to you. After a moment of silence, even with the wound treated with blockers, seeing him like this, Eros broke out, begging him to lift. Meanwhile, in the warship's command room, the atmosphere was tense too. Everyone was searching for their location. Finally, after persistent effort, they connected to Eros' signal. Eros was carrying Jia Yang on his back. Everything around them was curved. With each step Eros, he left faint traces. The officer called out repeatedly, no response. Jia Yang weakly called Eros' name. Hearing this, Eros gently set him down, telling him they'd reach the satellite station. Once there, they'd contact the military. Then the system voice sounded. 2 minutes left. Jia Yang leaned weakly against Eros, murmuring, I just had a dream about the night we graduated. I was drunk. You brought me back to the dorm, right? I vaguely remember. You kissed me, didn't you? Seeing Eros come, Jia Yang felt even more. So you already felt that way about me? He forced through the pain, slowly raising his hand. Did it hurt this much for you back Eros, then? I'm sorry. After saying this, his hand dropped. Rosy, in an instant, holding his gradually. Eros gently kissed his forehead. In the starship crew, the officer was also reporting that General Jia Yang. At the same time, Eros' terminal finally connected. Eros calmly transferred command to General Delta and told them to wait for Norman to grow up. Then Delta instantly understood what he intended to do. How this time, at the story's end, with Eros' word, hey Jia Yang, let's go home together. The terminal social sequence activated. After the flame shot, Eros and Jia Yang disappeared into the vast earth. New world, new mission. In the first realm ended with Eros' love suicide. Shouye Yang thought he could follow the main storyline now. As the transfer started, Jia Yang arrived in the second realm. The little system briefed. He's now in the Diki dynasty. His identity is the second son, and the male lead study. Back during the struggle for the throne, he betrayed the male lead. When he was thrown into the dungeon, he personally tortured, not only crushing his wrist, but using many cruel. The male lead hates him. Redemption is basically impossible. In the snow, at the execution ground, couldn't wash it clean. The male lead's hatred for him might fade, but seeing wanted posters all over the sea, the little system worried for him. Seems the male lead's anger hasn't cooled at all. In fact, as time's passed, it's only gotten stronger. He needs to figure out how to avoid getting caught. Every day he survives counts, and this time he had to end up on the romance route. Otherwise, the next realm would force him down that path too. Totally confident. This male lead is the one I wronged most. How could it possibly develop into that kind of relation? Just as Jia Yang was planning to find somewhere to hide, he suddenly felt dizzy, immediately realizing something. That one had something in it. Did Tai Yan find him? Unable to resist wave, felt drowsiness washing over. He finally collapsed on the table. Yang struggled to stay conscious. While waiting for the antidote process, Yan sword was already at his throat. Then master, you sure made the search hard. Only then did he know it. Soldiers were everywhere surrounding him completely. Did the male lead put a tracker on you? The system was stunned too. The Lassified realm was one thing, but this is ancient times. Did you really try hiding a lifetime? Jia Yang felt like he'd fallen into ice to stay calm. With a ding, Jia Yang suddenly felt a cool sensation flooding his brain. The uncontrollable weakness disappeared. After recovering his strength, he immediately knocked away the sword at his throat. But the man threatened him with the Jig's entire household. But Jia Yang paused about to say something when someone stepped forward and slapped him across. The man's hands were locked in iron chain, firmly imprisoned in millennium-old pool water, all because he crushed the emperor's wrist. Jia Yang was shocked by the sudden appearance. His older brother, Helian Yang. You're still trying to run. You want the entire Duke's household to die. Mother's bedridden because of you. The doctor says she only has a year left. Hearing this, Jia Yang felt terrible inside. He kept telling himself, these were just characters in a mission. He couldn't go. But after an internal struggle, he chose to surrender. When he woke again, he found himself in a pool. He asked the system, how's the Marshal King? Is he still alive? He himself was now a prisoner. Jia Yan was this realm's male lead is that the little system told him not to worry, to prevent the host from seeing this stuff. That might affect mental. Headquarters created a protection mode. It'll censor the images. Jia Yan listened. His body he completely passed out. In his haste, he had a dream. He dreamed of the male lead covered in wounds lay on the dungeon floor, and he was stepping on the male lead's wrist. It was humiliating completely. Not only mocking his illness, but saying it crippled, since it was useless anyway. Then it got even worse. He snatched the male lead's beloved jade and smashed it on the ground before his eye. Seeing the shattered jade, the male lead froze for a moment, then snapped. The look he gave him turned vicious. Jia Yang woke with a start, only to find the male lead sitting right in front of him. His body stiffened instantly, his blood seeming to freeze. He suddenly repeated the name in his. Tai Yan chuckled. I thought when your master got captured, You'd come rescue him. Turns out I was wrong. With that, he picked up a wine jug and slowly walked toward. I remember you loved Cyprus wine back then. Do you still? What? Before he could he was kicked hard. Gayan groaned, and the next instant his wrist was stepped. The pain made his body tremble uncontrollably. Taiyan looked at him, his eyes showing no emotion. Like it. Good. So your blood is red, too. Taiyan showed no change. Just crouched down. I thought my Gayan was possessed by a demon. Turns out he wasn't. With that, he grabbed his hand and pressed it to the ground. Gayan, where were you these 2 years? As she said this, his hand started undoing his claw. Shocked. He thought, what's he doing? Don't tell me this male lead isn't straight. What if I ordered you to serve me? Gayan never expected the second world's male lead was Ben. Continuing from last time, Taiyan gripped his neck and demanded, where were you these 2 years? Gayan croaked, this criminal, Taiyan Kadama. Criminal, who's subject you? When you can't solve problems, you call my name. When there's no trouble. Gayan, do you even have a heart? Or did you give your heart to someone else? As he said this, Taiyan's eyes darkened. The wrist tightened. With a crack, his hand broke. Gayan in agony. Didn't even notice Taiyan sitting to the side, until Taiyan's cold voice came. You're awake. I can spare the Duke's household. Bloodline. Your little nephew. Just as Gayan was about to speak, guards brought someone in. Gayan was startled. What kind of creature is this? The person had clearly gone mad. Shen seeing people, and immediately wildly. Then Taiyan's cold voice came again. Since the image was too gruesome, the system activated host protection mode. Gayan's vision was suddenly all pixels, so he had no idea who it was. Taiyan saw his reaction. Happy to see your old master. I kept him waiting just for you. Mosaic. Mosaic. He suddenly had a bad feeling. He told the system to get medical serum for the marshal. He arranged for the Marshal King to see him secretly to illuminate future. The Marshal King fed him. He secretly gave the male lead the antidote, though he used hypnosis to make the Marshal King. Now he just needs to give the Marshal King the serum.